Welcome to another episode of the Virginia Investor Podcast. Today's guest uses creative financing to buy rentals and flip houses. He's a strong salesman and a good friend, Daryle Parker. Daryle, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Steven. I appreciate it, man. Gosh, this is a long time coming. I remember when this setup was basically nothing in your office,
right.
In the back of your office. So
yeah, you saw it before anything, probably like a year or two before anything happened, when the microphones were all set up, and I was like, I'm going to do a podcast, and you're like, sweet, man, and you guys had one going on and stuff like that. It took me a while to get around to it.
Well, I love it, dude. I love everything y'all are doing, and yes, keep it going.
Sweet, man. I am, we've known each other for a while. We've known each other for a few years, but I've not had the opportunity or have not made the time to go deep into your story, and I hope we can do some of that today. I'm really excited to learn more about you and what your journey looked like getting where you are now. Let's start from the beginning. Where were you born? What was childhood like?
So I was Chesterfield, Virginia, a little town called Matoka, Virginia, and a very modest lifestyle. We were in kind of the lower middle class. The benefit I learned later on that, because I didn't know if we had money. When you're a kid,
right.
You don't know if you have money or not money or anything. I knew we didn't do any extravagant vacations. I knew we didn't do anything crazy. I knew my parents didn't drive new cars and all of that stuff. And come to find out, my dad was actually financially smart. When they bought their house, they got it for $62,000.
Right.
He put like a $20,000 down payment. 9 years later, he was fully paid off. So then he was like, perfect. We can get the kids dirt bikes for Christmas, four-wheelers for Christmas. And it was all because he didn't have a mortgage.
That's smart.
Growing up, I had no idea they didn't have a mortgage. I just knew that Santa brought us a dirt bike for Christmas last year, and this was awesome. And we got to go to the racetrack and all of those things. And I didn't quite understand. But realistically, if he would have explained it to me, I could have probably been financially smarter, younger in life than having to wait until I was in my mid to upper 20s to figure it out.
You need to figure it out on your own.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
What did he do for a living?
So he was a meat cutter at Costco.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was a very average meat cutter, and then he became a supervisor for the meat department at Costco, and that's where he retired. He actually just retired about a year ago.
Sweet.
So,
what did your mom do?
She was working at the clinic at Matoka Elementary School, where I was going to school, so she could have summer vacations off, spring break, winter break, all of those things. So then every summer break, she was taking us to King's Dominion because she had off all year, or half the year.
What you just explained about your dad is very unusual, right? That like, where did that savviness come from? That I'm sure maybe you had a discussion with him later in life. Like, where did that come from? Did he have a need? Like, was there anything about his upbringing that told him that that was the smart thing to do? Did he have a need to be financially stable or what?
So I don't think he ever had any of that growing up. He just knew he didn't like debt. He was doing the debt snowball by Dave Ramsey without knowing the Dave Ramsey debt snowball. But he hated debt. He had no car payments ever in my life.
Smart.
He didn't get the first car payment until he retired a year ago.
Right.
He bought a new truck, and that's because I convinced him, like, Dad, you've driven these crappy cars your whole life. Buy something nice. He went and bought a new car. He still rents a car to go on vacation because he's scared to put miles on it.
Really?
I'm like,
wow. That's kind of awesome, though. I mean, that's great. That's definitely it's just being smart, making good decisions, putting your family first, so you can have like your kids can enjoy life a little bit better because of the decisions that you made, and that is not super common, especially for someone who's not like thinking about financial freedom and independence and stuff like that. He's just but I guess the way you put it is he just didn't like debt. That makes sense, right? Like that's easy enough for people to understand, to say debt is bad. How do I get out of debt? Yep. And then you're in a better position to serve your family at that point.
And he knew that he didn't make a killing at his job. He never made a whole lot of money. And then my mom worked in the school systems. They're underpaid for what they do, and they help out the community. And he was somehow able to just, when we were really young, like they bought the house probably 3 or 4 years before I was born. By the time I was 6, 7 years old, they had it paid off because he just snowballed it and made extra payments every chance he could.
Right.
They rolled everything they could into it. And next thing you know, they had no mortgage.
Right. Yeah,
which is the biggest expense that holds people down,
right.
is that mortgage.
Yeah. Growing up, what did you think about finances. Were you ever open to that at all? Like before, let's say leading up to like your high school years, were you ever thinking about finances, or was it just like, look, I need to go to school, get good grades, play sports or something, and then?
None of that. All I knew is that I used to race dirt bikes when I was young. So every week, that was all I was thinking about is, hey, I need to be at the track as soon as I'm done with school. Right. So that way on Friday, Saturday, we can be at the racetrack and racing. And that's all I thought about.
Yeah. So that was your sport that you played?
Yeah. Well, I played baseball as well, and then I raced dirt bikes. That was really what I did. Yeah.
Awesome. And then grades, were they good, bad,
I was
ugly?
I'm a very average student. I never had great grades. The only thing I ever excelled in was math. Math, A's and B's all year, every year. Everything else, very C.
I guess that's a good thing to excel in. I was never super good at math. Thank goodness for strong calculators.
Yeah, strong calculator. Right nowadays, kids don't even need math. Yeah. I mean, it can tell them everything on their phone or anywhere else.
Right. And then in high school, were you kind of influenced to go to college? Was it up to you completely? Was there any pull one way or another?
So my mom was like, you have to go to college. No one in our entire family had gone to college at that point. I mean, I would have been the first to go and the first to graduate, and she pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. And finally, I graduated high school, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. That lasted probably like a realistic 8 months. I was there technically for 2 or 3 semesters technically until they were like, hey, your grades are bad.
Right.
We got to get rid of you. So they kicked me out.
Where'd you go?
I went to Richard Bland College, so a little community college. So it didn't cost a whole lot of money to figure out school wasn't for me.
Yeah, for me, I went to, I can never remember if I actually went to 1 semester or 2 semesters of VCU, but it was expensive. And I think what happened is I went to 1 semester, decided it wasn't for me, paid for the second semester because I didn't make a decision yet, and then dropped out. So I think I just paid for an extra semester for no reason. But yeah, so it was kind of similar where like, everyone told me that I needed to go to college and I would ruin my life if I shouldn't say everyone, a lot of people would
that's
say
what my mom told me. She was like, you will be way better off if you go to college, you'll get a good degree, you'll get a great job. But back in 2006, 2008, that's what everyone did. They pushed college hard in 2006 to 2008. Yeah. And I think every single person from my graduating class went to a community college or a college instead of a trade school or something like that.
Imagine if they had the trades under their belt now.
Like, a trade school today. I wish that I got that type of experience.
That's actually what scared me about college, was not necessarily about the grades or the work or anything, but I just wanted to get started, and I'd seen everyone that I knew and respected, and they're doing well, but like they all went to college, and they all no one quite knew what they wanted to do, so it was all like a business administration degree or business management degree or something, and I was like, if everyone is doing that, that terrifies me, because how am I going to be different or set myself apart? So So you went to a community college, didn't really, figured out that wasn't for you. What was your next move after that?
So I went straight to work after that. After that, I actually worked at a carpet cleaning company.
Nice.
And we cleaned carpets in restaurants. So from 10, 11 o'clock at night until about 5 in the morning, I was cleaning restaurants and all of that until finally I got a job at Vulcan. It was a rock quarry, and I was pumped. I was like, this is it. This is where I'm retiring. Like, we're not doing anything after this. And come to find out, I did not make it that long there because I didn't like night shift as much as I thought I did.
So you were still working night shift.
Night shift.
But this is, I assume, Vulcan. I'm not super familiar with them, but I would assume it's maybe a larger company. It's got great benefits, probably decent pay.
Great benefits, good pay, and it's a rock quarry. So they make sand and gravel for construction sites, driveways. If you have a gravel driveway, 9 times out of 10 it came from either Vulcan or Luckstone. One of those two.
Yeah,
we're the only two in the area, and that's where most of the gravel and sand comes from.
Interesting. So you're like, I'm set for life. Like, you're good. Now you just got to work for 40 years, and then you can retire.
That's exactly right. Yes.
And that's what life is going to look like.
And life was going to be good. I mean, I thought for sure life would be great until I got in there and I saw how miserable these guys were.
Really?
And it was crazy. We ran the plant at night. So Dominion has this thing to where you can't run but so much power during the day or they charge you more. So what we used to do is A days, and we would run the plant all night. So I would work from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. And we would run the plant all afternoon and all into the night. Catches every single night about 1 o'clock, a conveyor belt would break and you were there until 5 o'clock in the morning every day. Every day you're there 2-3 hours past your shift because you had to clean up what you had before the next shift came in.
Interesting. Yeah. How old are you at this time?
So I was 21 when I got that job.
It sounds like a terrible time to work
night shifts. Horrible. All of my friends are out partying and having a blast. My wife today, we were together back then, she would be out at the parties and I would talk to them. I'd be like, all right, y'all have a blast. I'll be home at 3 p.m. or 3 a.m.
That is brutal. So you already knew your wife at this point?
I did, yeah. So we met when we were 19.
Okay.
Yeah, 19 years old.
Okay, cool. So, all right. So you're 21, and she, what was she doing did she go to college or anything like that?
So she did. She got her associates from John Tyler, and then nothing after that. But she was working at a bank at BB&T.
Okay.
So we would see each other for maybe
a
couple of minutes, and that was because I would wake up in the morning just to say goodbye before she went off to work at 8 a.m.
Man, that's brutal. But you guys were boyfriend girlfriend at the time?
Correct. We were boyfriend girlfriend at the time.
So when you make this decision to leave this company, it's largely because of the experience that you're having. It's just not a good fit for you, I assume, and not something you see yourself doing long term.
But it was all by chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I left, it was by chance. So one weekend, I actually had off. Usually I was working 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. This Saturday, they let us off because we had already produced enough sand and gravel for the week that they were like, hey, you guys. So if we met our quota on sand and gravel from the pit, we could get off on Saturdays and Sundays. If we didn't, we worked every Saturday.
Wow.
And we happened to go to a birthday party on a Saturday, and I was playing cornhole, and we were shooting and playing and everything. And then next thing you know, I played against a guy, and he was standing next to me. We got to talking, and I told him what I did. He told me what he did and all that. He was like, Daryle, why are you working in a rock quarry? Like, me and you just had a 35-minute conversation, and we didn't know each other from Adam. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
And I was like, oh, what do you mean? Like, what am I doing? Like, I got a great job. I'm not even thinking about a different job at this point. I know that I don't like night shift, and I know that I don't want to do this forever, but I didn't think there was other options.
Interesting.
And come to find out, he worked at Vector Security. They sold camera systems and access control and stuff like that. He was like, Daryle, I want you to come and see my office and meet my boss. I was like, no, I'm good. And I brushed him off. And it was about a month later, I had a bad day. Like, it was it was December or January. It was 12 degrees outside. I'm freezing. I'm up on a conveyor belt 50 feet off the ground. Like, what am I doing right now? Why am I here?
Right.
And the next day I called him. I was like, hey, I'd love to take you up on that. I'll just come check it out.
Right.
I went up there. I walked around their office. I met a bunch of people. His boss wasn't there. We're walking out the door to go grab some lunch before I went home, and his boss is pulling in the parking lot. He's like, hey, here's my boss. Come meet him. I was like, okay, cool. I introduced myself and everything, and his name was Mark. And Mark was like, hey, come with me to my office real quick. And I was like, okay, cool. So we got to talking, and we talked for probably 30, 40 minutes. And by the time we were done talking, he was like, hey, Daryle, I'd love to offer you a job. And I was like, well, I'm not really looking for a job, but I appreciate it, but I'm not looking for a job. And next thing you know, he was like, seriously, you should put some thought into it because me and you just talked for 45 minutes, and I feel like I know you for years.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay, I appreciate that, but I'm good. So I went back to work. And next thing you know, I'm working at Vulcan probably another month before I finally was like, man, it was eating me up. In the back of my head, I'm like, should I do something? My parents, absolutely not. Do not go do, because it was a sales job.
Oh,
and they were like, oh my gosh, you have a great job right now. It's guaranteed.
Right.
Why would you go and risk everything for a sales job?
Right.
And so my parents said that. Lisa's parents said that. So my soon-to-be in-laws were like, why would you ever do something like that? And in the back of my head, I'm like, I gotta try this, because if I don't try it and I don't know that I'm gonna be good, I can always go and find a new rock quarry job or something like that. So I took a chance, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah.
That's incredible. And there's a lot of nuggets to pick up from that story too. Like, a lot of people wouldn't even go to that office. They just brush it off, and people just miss opportunities that are right in front of them. And it's frustrating sometimes, especially if that person is like a member of your family and you want them to have better for themselves or something, and they're just not seeing it, or they don't have a belief in themselves that they'll do well. Like, if you were like, man, I would never win in sales, then you just would never go, and you would stay buried in a rock quarry.
And who
somewhere.
knows where I would be today if that exact moment did not happen, because I highly doubt I would be in real estate.
Yeah,
Highly doubt
who
it.
knows what your path would be? It's different because it's you, but like I would think that there's a lot of opportunities that continuously get put in front of different people. They just fail to see them.
They do.
And so I would bet that you would have opportunity after, but that's also because of who you are, right? And your personality and talking to people and getting to know them and stuff like that. So you do have that advantage, whether it was something you learned over time or gained, or you were just born that way, either one, or a mix of probably all the above.
Yeah.
That is an opportunity that you saw. And the delay on the opportunity, I guess, was it because of the commission or the sales? Like, because
it was 100% the sales and the commission.
got it. Because you sort of had golden handcuffs to an extent. Like you had a guaranteed check come in, you likely had good benefits and stuff like that. And you're like, okay, now I'm gonna uproot, and then I'm gonna go into something that is uncertain.
Yes. Now, luckily, I was young enough. We didn't have kids at the time. We weren't married at the time, and we lived in an apartment. So
Right.
I didn't have a whole lot to risk. If I had kids and had a house, who knows if I would have
Right.
jumped and taken that risk.
Yeah, so timing is also important.
Very important.
It was important for you, like with your level of frustration too, because obviously, like
Yes.
as your frustration grew, or as you had more and more bad days and cold weather and just terrible, experiences at work, that grew, your motivation to now find something new. How were you going to learn sales, or did you have any concern about
So that was the craziest part. I knew nothing about sales. All I knew is that I just needed to watch and see what they were doing and just try and mimic it the best I could. So the first week, I kind of went out with the manager a little bit. I went out with Tyler, the guy who got me in on the job, and he was a great salesman. Like, this kid could talk to anybody. He could sell anything. I mean, I can tell you right now that he could sell in any company, he could sell it,
Right.
no matter what. And I just watched him, and I was like, he's just being himself.
Right.
He's not doing
Yep.
anything different. He's not doing any special act. He's not trying to perform on a TV show. He's being himself.
Right.
Like, he's telling these people, we used to door knock. And that's all we did was door knock. And he would go up to the door and he would tell them exactly that we had a crappy day because our car almost got towed. And I'm like, why are you telling them this? And he was like, dude, you break that that barrier down
Right.
by telling them something normal. Don't go in there trying to sell them the world. Go in there and just talk to them and see how their day is.
Right.
And the second you see how their day is, now you took their guard down.
Right.
And once their guard is down, now they're open to talk about other things once you break that ice. And it was life-changing. I couldn't believe that there was no sales pitch, none of that. You just talk, be yourself, be normal.
Yeah, and so he was able to like actually close deals.
Oh, he closed tons of deals.
Awesome.
And I got to see him close deals.
Right.
And I really think that that's why I was so successful, is because I got to see it firsthand from day one.
So, and that's what essentially taught you sales.
It did, yes.
So just having good conversation, being yourself, not really focusing on some like, high impact script that they're going to give you or something. Just be yourself. And I assume some version is like asking good questions and understanding where that other person is.
And that all came later down the road. At first, he just told me to be myself.
Got it.
And just care about the person, see what their needs and their wants are, and ask them questions and be quiet.
Right.
Don't
Yeah,
talk. That's
listen.
what the best
Right.
part is. The reason you have 2 ears is to listen more than you talk.
Right.
So, and that's what we would do, is we would go in there and we'd ask them one question, and next thing you know, they'd tell us about their life or the traumatic event or why they needed cameras, and not necessarily what cameras they needed. They knew that, hey, a break-in was 2 houses down, and now I'm scared to be here.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Now I know why I'm here, because the break-in down the street now makes you want to get cameras
Right.
or access control or something to protect your family.
Right.
And we got to really help people protect their families in different ways.
That's awesome. I assume that over time you learned what questions to ask, like the killer questions that were going to
Yes.
make the most impact and move the needle in the conversation the most, and how to either avoid certain situations or get into certain situations in this conversation. Were you able to carry that over to real estate when you're talking to the sellers now at this point?
That's who I am. I would say a lot of the reason I'm successful in real estate is because of that, because I learned how to listen to someone's problem.
Right.
And a real estate investor, all you are is a problem solver.
Right.
You go in and you figure out what the problem is and how you can solve it or help them, and sometimes you can't help them in the problem, which is okay. That's perfectly fine. You can't
Right.
sell everyone, or you can't buy everything, because certain situations don't really apply to it.
Right.
So it really helps that I know the questions to now ask to see what their problem is and why they even had me in the door to begin with.
Knowing what I know now about you, I'm seeing like this kind of start to unfold where you got in this position where you should have been comfortable. You kind of got to see the writing on the wall of what the sort of the corporate, but it wasn't necessarily corporate. You weren't in an office, but like the kind of the bigger entity job looks like, and you realized that wasn't for you. Then you got into sales and got some awesome experience and learned sales, which then teed you up for your next move, which you didn't know you were going to make.
Oh, I had no idea. I was like perfectly happy in sales. Like it was.
Yeah, because I assume like you were like winning awards, like top performer in sales at your job, right?
Yeah. Oh, the first year in, I got in on like a June, July, and I almost made their President's Club on a 7-month period. In my very first 7 months ever doing sales. Never been in sales, nothing even close to that.
Yeah.
And then my first full year, I was able to make their President's Club trip, and I actually was able to be their #1 seller in the country, which to this day, I have no idea how that's possible.
That's
because
incredible.
I was just helping people. That's all I did was help people get cameras and security systems to protect their family.
Did you have a chip on your shoulder at all from people telling you or suggesting that you don't really?
Oh, 100%. The reason why I went as hard as I could go is because my mom and dad told me, no, don't do it. Like, this isn't a guarantee. And I had to prove to them that, even though I didn't have to prove to them, but I wanted to be like, hey, look, I doubled my salary at Vulcan, and you told me not to quit that job.
Right.
Like, why would you ever want me to not be as successful as I can be? And just because they were conservative. They've always known the secure and easy way to get a paycheck is to show up every day and you get paid.
Yeah. I always like pointing stuff like that out because there's a lot of people that will tell you not to do something or it's, don't take the risk, etc. People have told me that in many places in my journey. Most people, I would argue, generally want what's best for you.
Yep.
And it's not like they're trying to hold you back in life, but at the same time, if you make that decision, you're betting on yourself, and then you got to do everything you can not to prove them right. Now, it's not like they're waiting for you to fail or wanting you to fail or anything. It's not that kind of like mentality.
Yep.
They want you to win, but if you make that decision, you got to show them that you were right. And so that exactly chip on your shoulder, I think, really goes a long way with helping entrepreneurs or investors be successful once people have told them maybe not to make those decisions.
Oh, yes. I don't think I would be where I'm at today if I didn't have that chip on my shoulder. I mean, it was one of those to where I was going to prove to them and my future in-laws, like, hey, I'm not making a mistake. This is what I was meant to do and meant to be. And that's where it kind of took me.
I'll create chips.
Oh, exactly.
If I can, like, is it not in like a negative or pessimistic or like, that kind of way that brings you down. But I'm like, I will create chips in my head, either historically or currently, and just be like, these people don't think I can do this.
Oh, and I'm still doing that today. Every day, I'm like, oh, somebody's waiting for me to fail. Yeah. Let me go do this real quick and just prove to them. Even though they could care less. They're all living their life or whatnot.
No one really wants you to fail, and no one's waiting for that, but you need some sort of driving factor. And that largely can be like, all right, these people don't believe in this decision, or they don't believe in me, or they're doubting, I sense that they're doubting my capability based on, the vision that I have or something. You're like, all right, push, go
push hard.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you're selling this equipment, you're doing really well. You're having an awesome trajectory in, your earnings and in your career, like everything is going well. What got you into real estate?
So it's crazy because at Vector Security, where I was, they were pushing me. They wanted me to be manager. So they were sending me to manager conferences and all this stuff. Like, you're going to be the next manager of this branch and all of this. And I was like, why would I be a manager when I know what my manager makes and I make more than my manager? Like, why would I downplay and take on more responsibility? And they're like, oh, well, you could be a selling manager and you can make double what your manager is making and all this. And I was like, And I kind of had that in the background, and I didn't really want to do management. So it was just, let me stick to sales and keep on rolling. And I had built up a good network of networking groups and all that. Well, they referred me. I was in Colonial Heights at the time in a networking group, and they referred me to a business owner named Ray Ferguson.
Sounds familiar.
Correct, yeah. So actually went to Ray's wedding venue, and I went and I sold him access control so that way he could sit at his house and log in the codes for the wedding coming up that weekend, and he'd never have to leave again. And then he'd have cameras to be able to watch their moves and make sure they got in the house and everything like that. So we set up all his cameras and all his access control. And then next thing you know, I said, all right, have a good one, Ray. Like, let me know if you need something else. A week later, he calls me. He says, hey, Daryle, you want to come do my escape room? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I went out to his escape room. I put cameras and access control in there. He's like, Daryle, why are you selling security systems? I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, why am I selling security systems? He was like, you should be in real estate. And I just chuckled. I was like,
it's the same story.
Who do you think I am? Like, do you think I'm some millionaire selling security systems? Because back then, I thought you had to be a millionaire to be in real estate. I had no idea you didn't have to be. He was like, look, come to my meeting. At that time, he had done maybe 3 or 4 Petersburg meetups.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got in at the very beginning
That's
of his
awesome.
meetups, and he was like, hey, come to my investor meetups, and I'll give you the stage. You can present your cameras and your security systems. So think of it as a networking event, and you're going to sell everybody. I was like, perfect. So I went home that night. I was like, all right, let me write up something. Let me find a way. I'm selling everybody in this room. They're all having security or cameras by the time I leave here. And no joke, I went in there and presented. And after I was done presenting, a lot of the other presenters would leave after they were done. They'd leave their business cards, and then they would just dip out. So I was like, let me stick around, and that way I can shake some hands after and actually put face to name and all of that stuff. I did not realize that I came out with an associate's in real estate without even knowing it. And I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, people are really doing. And there was, funniest thing, I met Dylan at that exact meetup, and I was like, how are you 22 or 24? Yeah, he was 22, 24 years old back then. I was like, how the heck are you buying real estate? And his story just intrigued me, like, holy cow, I can actually do this. Like, I don't have to be some rich kid that inherited a bunch of money or made a bunch of money to actually get into this. And next thing you know, I got my best friend Steven involved, and I was like, he was off selling solar systems at that time. I was like, Steven, hey, come check this out. So I got him to come with me to the next meeting, and I showed up voluntarily to that next meetup with no agenda, not trying to sell anything, nothing. And we went in there, and he was like, dude, I think there's something like here. Like, you're good at sales, I'm good at sales. There's no way we can't find something or figure it out. So we went out and we bought bandit signs the very next day.
Wow.
We were like, dude, let's go buy some We Buy Houses signs. And we bought, I think he bought 10 and I bought 10. And we were like, let's just put them out and see what happens. And then we'll go door knocking around where we put them out. So we go door knocking, we put them out, we go door knocking, nothing. We're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, just chalk it up. I mean, if we wasted $200, who really cares? And next thing you know, a week later, we start getting phone calls. And we're like, seriously? Like, what do we do? So then we went and ran our first appointment together. And I was like, dude, I don't have a clue. Like, I don't even own a house. I don't know how to tell how much this house is worth. So we just started talking to her. And we figured out that her parents passed away and that she couldn't afford the taxes on the house and she had to get rid of it. And we were like, so, like, how much do you want for it and all that? And she was like, I don't know. I was thinking 10 or 12,000. I was like, oh my gosh, like, seriously? So we were like, all right, well, we don't have $10,000 or $12,000 at that point. Like, we had $4,000 or $5,000. So we went outside, we kind of stepped away, and we were like, let's offer her $5,000. And if she takes it, we know we at least got that much money to be able to buy it. And she took it. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is unreal. And we got our first house on High Street in Petersburg for $5,000.
No way.
Yes.
And within a month and a half of like learning that real estate investing exists.
Within 30 to 60 days of knowing that real estate even existed, we knew people bought houses. We just didn't know how.
That is insane. Wait, all right.
Wild.
All right, hold on, time out.
Yes.
All right. One, major props to Ray Ferguson for being a connector. Right?
You have no idea. I tell him, and I tell everyone this story and plug him every time, because without him, I really would not be here.
Dude, incredible.
Yes.
And there's like 1 or 2 people in my life that made like a couple statements or suggestions that completely changed the path of my life. And that, like, Ray Ferguson is one of them for you.
He's my guy.
And just for any audience, he was episode 38 on this podcast.
Nice.
So if you want to hear Ray's story, check out episode 38. Ray is I mean, he's just awesome. So positive, military veteran, business owner, real estate investor, and a connector, man. Like that's incredible. He's getting his meetup started. He's got these businesses going on. He's either leaving the military or working through his transition to this point, and then he grabs you and just says, hey man, check. Like he noticed your talent. He noticed like you would be good at it.
Yeah,
like
it was wild.
But that's what's crazy, because like in sitting here, there's probably more that has happened in your life, but like just in sitting here, there's been 2 or 3 other people that have noticed your talent and said, hey, what are you doing, man? Come do this.
Yes.
And each time you keep leveling up. So
And
what's
I
the
would-
next? Is someone going to come and be like, dude, why are you doing real estate? Come do these hedge funds or something like that.
Who knows where it's going to go? But I don't see how I would do anything other than real estate. But who knows?
Yeah, man, it's just incredible. And props for you for like taking advantage of those opportunities and really stepping up and kind of listening to those people and not having the ego to say like, no, man, I know all this. I'm better than everyone, all this stuff. Like so many people shut down opportunities because of that. And you are sitting here like willing to listen and take this advice from this guy. I mean, obviously he's got some sort of influence as a multiple business owner. You probably look at him like, all right, cool.
I looked at him like, because the mansion that he had a wedding venue. I mean, this was an immaculate place,
Right.
to where I was like, okay, he's doing pretty well
Right.
for himself.
Yeah,
He
you should
came
listen
from the
to him.
military. We sat down and had lunch. He told me all about like every place that he would go to, he'd buy a house. When he was in the military, he'd move around a lot, and every place he'd buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what got him started in real estate. Was he mistakenly was a landlord
Right.
by just moving to different locations
Right.
through the military.
So you go to this meetup, you meet people, you start having these conversations, and I assume you're diving in after this meetup. You've got Steven involved, and now Steven, another salesman,
Yes.
comes in and is like, okay, cool, this is actually pretty attractive, this is interesting. You guys go out the next day and buy bandit signs, which probably have your personal cell phone number. I
They
assume.
absolutely
Yeah.
did, yes.
And then, so there's not like any business strategy or like...
We didn't even own a business at that point.
Yeah.
We didn't even start the LLC until the woman agreed to $5,000, and we're like,
oh no.
holy cow. So the craziest part to our business name, the reason it came up was we were just sitting there after she agreed to $5,000. We're like, what the heck are we going to call ourselves? Like, so his last name was Landon and my last name was Parker. Land Park Properties. That's where
Perfect.
we're at.
Sold.
Sold. And
That's
next
awesome.
thing you know, Land Park Properties came about, and we
Yeah.
paid $99, got our
Yeah,
LLC
yeah.
documents and all of that, got it under contract. We were like, all right, do we like use our only savings to pay
Right.
for this? And then we were like, oh, let's go to the meetup and see like what people thought. So
Right.
we waited till the next meetup 2 or 3 weeks later, and we had a guy in there that was like, hey, I'll give you $25,000 or $30,000 for that house. We were like, seriously? Like, you'll give us 25, 30 grand for that house? Next thing you know, in 30-day time, we made 25 grand. We sold it to him for
incredible.
$30,000. And we were like, dude, this is way too easy. Like, there's no way this is how
Right.
it is.
Right.
And then the next week, we got another house under contract for $12,000.
From the bandit signs?
From
or-
the bandit signs. So our first bandit signs got us 4 deals.
Wow.
It was
That's an
how does it
investment.
even happen?
That's crazy.
And I talked to people today, and they've never gotten a lead off of bandit signs. And how we got 4 leads. And now, granted, this was back in 2016, 2017. So times were a little different back then.
Right.
You didn't have the internet to be able to do everything like you do now. But we got calls, and it kept coming in, and we ran a ton of appointments off of that.
Do you think your placement was it strategic, or you're just like, we just want to buy in this area, just plop it down here?
We had no idea.
Yeah,
The
that's what I
bandit
figured.
sign that we got that house off of was 15 miles away from that house. Wasn't even close to that house at all. It was in Petersburg. We put all our bandit signs in Chesterfield and Colonia Heights.
Wow. Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, so 15 miles away, and she called us because she was on the way to a doctor appointment, and that's how she saw our sign.
Wow. And it just says, we buy houses with a phone number.
It said, we buy houses, any condition, cash, with our phone number, and
Nice.
that's it.
Wow. Okay, cool. So, and then you get to essentially wholesale the first one, and that gets you some capital in your pocket.
It did. It got us a little cash to where we were like, okay, and we went and bought more bandit signs, and we kind of doubled up. And it put cash in our pocket to where we were like, okay, we can start to supplement some of our income, because he was making good money in sales, and so was I.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to quit our jobs or anything close to that. We were just like, let's kind of give us some extra spending money.
Were you guys kind of like in this enough to create different like roles and responsibilities as a partnership? Did you guys ever have that discussion? You were just like, God, let's just phone rings. You got this one. I got the next one or something like that.
We didn't even have any roles or anything. It was just who can bring in deals. And when we get them, let's go close them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we didn't get far enough to even give ourselves roles and responsibilities. Yeah. It was just, if you get a call, let me know and we'll be there. And we tag teamed them every single time.
Those first 4 off the Bandit signs, were they all wholesales? Did you flip it?
They were all wholesales.
When did you get into like your first construction?
So we got into our first construction because off of a Bandit sign as well.
Of course.
And that Bandit sign led us to this house in Richmond off of Forest Hill Avenue. And we went and ran it, and we got it under contract. And when we went to do title work, it was under contract by the daughter, and legally the daughter did not own it because the sisters actually got her mother's shares for that house because it was her. So technically it was her grandparents' house, and she thought because her mother passed away that she got inherited the house.
Right.
So we got it under contract with her. Next thing you know, we go through title. They're like, hey, she doesn't even exist. She's not on the deed, or she's not anywhere to be found. We're like, what do you mean? And so we start doing some digging. Take this back. We don't know anything about real estate. We don't know much about title work at that point. Like, we're newbies. So we start digging and come to find out the house is going through foreclosure because no one's paid the taxes because the daughter that thought she owned it didn't have any money. The sisters didn't even know they owned it.
Wow.
Yeah, so the sisters didn't even know they owned it at that point. So we start negotiating with the bank. So we eliminated the daughter because she didn't exist on title at all. We start negotiating with a bank in California. Come to find out, we were able to pick this house up for $33,000 in Richmond from the bank. So me and the bank completely negotiated. All we had to do was get the sisters to sign off on it, that there was no money there, because I think they owed like $60-something thousand, and the bank was willing to cut it in half just to not go through foreclosure.
Yeah.
And I actually picked up all of the sisters and brought them to the title company to sign off on it and took them to cookout after. I mean, it was a crazy day.
Did you flip it?
We did. We flipped it, and it was a major renovation. I actually my brother-in-law graduated from Virginia Tech construction.
Okay.
So he was working at Ryan Homes at the time, and he was about to start his own construction company. I was like, hey, would you want to come in on this as a third party? Because me and Steven didn't know anything about renovations.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Like, we knew absolutely nothing. So we brought him on board, and he took care of the entire renovation. He funded it and renovated it and taught us every step of the way on what to do, how to file permits, how to do everything. And I mean, the story gets crazier because we got hit by OSHA for lead paint on that house, the very first house. What?
How'd that happen?
Crazy. So we're assuming one of the neighbors must have called, but we took all the old wood siding off of the house, disposed of it, got the dumpster picked up. Next thing you know, me and Steven went and got lunch. We show back up at the house, and there's like police cars out front. We're like, holy cow, like, what's going on? So of course, Steven, we had some people inside cleaning the house, and they were just doing some after construction cleaning. And so he went around back, got them out of the house just because they may or may not have been fully legitimate at the time. And they were cleaning the house, and then next thing you know, I'm talking to who I thought was the police. They were like, hey, we're with the state, we're OSHA, like, we're here investigating lead paint and asbestos siding. We're like, well, there's no siding on the house, and like, who called you guys? And they were like, oh, it was an anonymous tip and so forth. And they go around the entire house, don't find anything. We're like, thank goodness. Next thing you know, they see some chipped up paint on the sidewalk of the back steps. And they're like, we're going to take these samples as testing. And they scooped them up, put them in their cup, and brought them off to their lab. And at that point, my brother-in-law, Luke, he was like, dude, I'm not going back over there. Like, I want no parts of this. Like, I'm about to start my construction company, all this. So we're terrified for like 3 weeks. We put a halt on everything for 3 weeks. And we finally get a phone call. And they're like, hey, you did test positive for lead paint. We want you guys to come in so we can talk. So we're like scared to death at this point. Like, what the heck? This is our first house. We're about to get shut down before we ever start. We went in there. We were like, well, on HGTV, well, they did this and all of this. We acted like the biggest rookies that there ever was. And OSHA was like, look, we're sorry that this is your first house. This is our rules and everything. We want you to take a 4-hour abatement class, and we'll completely wipe this clean. And we were like, oh my gosh, like seriously? And they were like, yeah, just take this 4-hour class and we're good. So me and Steven, we signed up that day for this abatement class, like just so thankful that we didn't get shut down on our very first property.
That is a wild first property story.
It was we went from negotiating with the bank for a foreclosure to finding him to do the rehab to that. I mean, it was a wild first property.
And you flipped it?
We did. We flipped it, yes.
Did it sell, like the sale go well and stuff like that?
It sold in like 30 days, which back then that was normal. Right. Back in 2018, 30 days on market was normal.
Yeah.
So it sold. We bought it for 33. We put almost, it was like 78,000 all into it. Mm-hmm. So we were all in a little over 100, and it actually sold for 208.
That's beautiful.
Oh my, it was amazing. Awesome. So we walked away with like 25, 30 grand a piece. Yeah. And we were like, dude, this is awesome.
So you guys have a strong run up, and you guys are probably building your, gaining confidence in real estate investing, kind of like seeing these different aspects of it and different ways to capitalize. Obviously, rentals are out there, and I guess your plan is like to eventually start holding these.
So we didn't even think about rentals, man. We were young and we wanted money. The quick dollar, and that was so intriguing to us that we could get 20 or 30 grand in 30, 60 days. Now, granted, that first rehab took us 6 months.
Yeah,
so it was not fast.
The month delay with OSHA.
Yeah, it was not fast. We had permits through Richmond City, which was actually a really good learning experience because I filed all the permits. That was kind of like my part in it. Mm-hmm. And we learned a whole lot about filing permits. And we did all of the clean out and junk removal all ourselves. Come to find out, that was not a good idea because Steven got lead poisoning.
Really?
Duh. Go figure that he got lead poisoning, and we got sick as could be because it was so much. This house had been smoked in for 50 years, so it was nicotine on everything, and we got so sick after cleaning this thing out. I didn't get lead poisoning, but he did, and it was a wild experience.
Man, I couldn't imagine. I mean, I've always paid for all my junk outs just because I don't want to deal with that stuff, but you need to have the right equipment dealing with that.
Oh, you do, yeah. But we were so young and into it. We were so happy that we even got the house.
Right.
We were like, oh, we'll clean that out. Like, no need in wasting $3,000. We'll clean it out.
Yeah.
And we got a dumpster and we just started ripping. And my dad would come over there and help out a little bit because he was pumped for us, even though he didn't know what it was going to turn into. He thought it was just going to be a one and done.
Yeah.
And it was actually taking me further and further away from my sales job to where by that time, I figured out that I could sell for 2 weeks, meet my monthly quota in 2 weeks. So then the other 2 weeks, I spent working on the house or finding more houses.
Right. I was going to ask about that. Like, how is this impacting your sales job? Same with Steven's. Like, how are you guys still being successful? And it sounds like you're figuring out how to meet the minimum. So now you can force your real estate in there. So what happened with the sales job?
So they didn't like that I was just meeting the minimums because I went from a top producer down to average Joe, and they were like, hey, Daryle, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you not selling like you used to? Why are you not doing what you used to do? And I was like, oh, man, you will never believe this. And I started going in thinking, like, we're in an open book. I'd been there for 4 years at that point. So I'm like, dude, you'll never believe this. We got a house. We sold it for this. We made 20 grand in 30 days and all this. And my manager was like, oh, well, that's cool. Well, we need you to still be a top producer. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm meeting my quota. Like, I just found a way to make a little more than because at that point I was doing really well, but I was still already going to make more in real estate than I was at my sales job.
Yep.
So I was like, well, I would love to keep doing this and just keep meeting the minimum. And that went on for about 6 months. And come to find out, my wife was pregnant. So we were 7 months pregnant, 2019, when all of this is going on. And September 2nd, it was the day before Labor Day weekend. Mm-hmm. And they brought me into their office and they were like, hey, Daryle, we can't accept you just being average, and so we're going to have to let you go.
Wow.
And I was like, seriously? Like, you're going to let me go? You're top producer. And I had just went on the President's Club trip 6 months before that, in March. Yeah. And I knew I wasn't going to make it that year because I put in half the effort. Right. And they were like, no, we're going to have to let you go. And I was like, holy cow. So I went Labor Day weekend, and I didn't tell Lisa that. So she's going to find that out on this podcast. But I did not tell her that I lost my job because I was like, I still want to have a good time, and I don't want her to be freaked out. Yeah. She's 7 months pregnant at this point. And it took me a while. After Labor Day weekend, I let things settle, and then I finally broke her the news, like, hey, they let me go. And she's like, what are we going to do for insurance? What are we going to do? The baby's due. It's almost Christmas, all of these things. And I'm like, we'll be okay. Like, we'll figure it out.
Had you already considered this? I mean, you knew that you were kind of letting go of that job a little bit and then entering more into real estate. Had you already considered like the whole, because those are all the different contingencies that you may not think about, like the health insurance and everything else. Like, had you considered any of this, or you just assume, hey, I'm going to keep this job, no factor, and we'll just get further into real estate?
Oh, I thought that I was going to be all clear because I was meeting their quotas. Like, I was meeting the minimum requirements. And I mean, 50% of the guys that were there, they were the average, medium, just barely met quota, and nobody ever said a word to them. So I'm like, okay, I can coast this out. We can keep the insurance, we can keep the little bit of sales income coming in, and we can make the real estate income. So I had no idea they were going to let me go.
What did Steven think about that? Because now you're telling your business partner that you have less money coming in.
So he was my biggest supporter. He was like,
so you're all in? Let's go.
He was like, dude, perfect. I'm quitting my job. Like,
really?
Oh my God. 2 weeks later, he's quitting his job, and he's like, dude, we're all in. We're not taking anything less than this.
That is awesome. So how does your wife feel about it after you told her?
Scared to death.
Yeah.
Scared to, I mean, like anyone. For one, hormones, everything. Like, this is our first kid, the whole nine. And she's like scared to death. Like, what are we going to do? And it even topped it off. That week after that, she went to a doctor appointment, and they like denied her because we didn't have health insurance. And we're like, holy cow, like what in the world? So I had to reinstate and pay for the remaining year of my Vector Security health insurance because they let me do that. They let me keep it through the rest of the year until the new year, because then that's when you can re-enroll for different insurance. And so they let me keep it. So I paid for the whole year, the rest of the year, that's September to December up front, just to keep that insurance.
Was your mindset at this point, I'm all in on real estate investing, or did you think maybe I should go back and get another job?
I was all in, but at the same time I was scared. Like that was the first time that it was terrible timing.
And you had no idea COVID is right around the corner. You just being pregnant and like missing out that, like, to you at this point, it's a normal world.
Yes.
And it's just terrifying because you're having your first kid, and that's scary enough. You had no idea what was coming around the corner.
No idea what was coming. I mean, we had Kinsley, our daughter, December 17th, and who would have ever guessed the world would change 3 months later?
Right.
I mean, it was wild.
So what did y'all think when COVID started kind of kicking up? Did that change the way you were investing? Did you
100%.
Pause? Did you speed up? What kind of moves did you make?
We completely stopped. We were scared. We were like, what do we do? Like, is the world going to crash? We didn't know where the world was even going to go. I mean, everyone was terrified.
Yeah.
And it was, for one, we had a newborn, so we weren't sleeping. So I was in insomnia mode at that point. And then the world shuts down, and we're like, holy cow, we got to sit at home. Right. So we got on every podcast, every Zoom meeting we could for real estate just to kind of stay focused. And what we would do is we would pull lists. And Steven would come, and we'd sit in my garage, and we would just pound the phones, as many homeowners as we could call. We would pull lists from, I can't remember who it was at that point. It was some skip trace company, and they would pull a list, and we would just pound the phones. And we would be, him and I are walkers, and we would start in the garage. Yeah. Next thing you know, he's in the cul-de-sac. I'm walking across the backyard. We're just walking and talking, trying to figure out how we're going to make this work.
Right. What was the response you were getting? Like,
nobody wanted to do anything.
Yeah,
everyone was like, "Oh, sorry, we can't sell right now. We don't know what's going to happen."
Right.
I was like, "What do you mean you can't sell? Like, you need to sell, you want to sell, but you're not going to sell?" I couldn't understand why. But everything was frozen at that point. No one was doing anything.
And you have a newborn, and Steven just quit his job.
Yes.
You aren't employed anymore.
Yep.
So do you have like ongoing projects that is providing capital, or are you just seeing like the capital kind of like Just move away.
Move away. Like luckily we had a couple of good wholesale deals and that really good flip, and we had some money in the bank to where we weren't struggling, but we weren't set up for 9 months later. We were good for the next 4 to 6 months, and that was pretty much it.
Right.
And we were like, all right, we just got to figure this out. At that point, we had no projects. We wanted to get everything finished before I had the baby, just because we knew that I wasn't going to be that involved after. So we had just finished our last project. We had a house on the market back in January, February, and it sold probably 30 days before COVID hit. And so we had good money in the bank. We weren't struggling, but we were like, all right, what do we do? No one's wanting to sell. How are we going to get through this?
Yeah.
And finally, we picked up a apartment complex. His grandma went to played bridge with all her old ladies, and they went and played bridge. And she was like, "Oh, my grandson and his business partner, they started doing real estate." And one of the women were like, "Oh, we're trying to get out of ours. Like, would they want a rental?" And she was like, "Oh, well, they don't have any rentals, but I'm sure they would love to." And we were like, perfect. Like, this is our chance. And we got in, we got it under contract, and everything was like good. We were going through title search. We went and checked all their leases. Because at that point, we were just trying to double check everything because we were like, I don't know how to keep a rental. We had never had a rental before.
Yeah.
And we're like, this was a 6-unit apartment complex. So we're like, this is all brand spanking new.
Yeah.
We go through, we're checking everything. And next thing you know, I started to dabble in selling security systems again because we didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah,
So it's around May at this point. Steven had started selling a few solar systems just to keep some income coming in. And next thing you know, I didn't hear from him. I was like, man, like, what in the world? And his fiance at the time called me and was like, hey, have you talked to him? And I was like, no, like, how he's not with you, like where? But he had took a sales appointment down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I talked to him the whole way there. And the last day we talked, we actually just got our SBA loan to put the down payment down on the apartment complex.
Interesting.
That was literally our conversation. We are pumped. He's like, dude, I'm going and we're going to have a drink when I get home and all of this. And I'm like, heck yeah, that's perfect. And then that night was Ray's meeting. It was a Zoom meeting.
Yep.
And I'm on the Zoom call and I'm like, where the heck is he at? He's not on here.
Right.
And nothing. He didn't answer the phone, anything. So then I was like, whatever. He went and had a couple drinks or something. He's celebrating getting this loan and all of that stuff. And next thing you know, I get a phone call at 6, 7 in the morning. That next morning, his fiance Farron was just hysteric, and I'm like, hey, calm down, like, what's going on, like, what are you talking about? She was like, Steven's gone. I was like, what do you mean Steven's gone? Like, gone like out of state or like gone on vacation, or like, what do you mean? And no, he was gone, like he had passed away. And I was like, I just broke down, and I don't even, who knows what I did for that next 24, 48 hours. Like, it's a blur. I don't know exactly what happened, because up to that point, I had never even had a grandparent pass away.
Right.
Like, I didn't know what death was, or I didn't know that toll that it would kind of, it was crazy. It was a wild experience.
What was your relationship with Steven?
So we were best friends. I've known Steven since we were probably in 9th grade.
Wow.
And he was the biggest kid on the golf team in 9th grade. He didn't even play football back then. And it's crazy because it was Big Steve and Little Daryl. Like, that's who we were, because he was 6'5" and I was 5'7". So we were like the most awkward, like, friends there was, because this dude I could basically do anything, and he would just step up and everybody would run away. Like, there was nobody would ever touch me or come close because Big Steve was right there. And so we knew each other so we were 9th grade pretty much. 15, 16 years old. Like, his mom, the first time I met his mom, we snuck out their house and went to a party, and she like shunned me for life. And she still talks about that to this day. Oh, it was horrible. I was like, how do you like me so much now? And she's like, I'm not going to lie. It was very hard, Daryle, because I wanted to never see you again after y'all did that.
I had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times. Obviously, I didn't know him very well, but man, man, like he was one of those guys when you walk in a room, it just lights up the whole room. Everyone loved him. I think in his short time in real estate, you guys even up to that point had developed a massive network. I mean, everyone loves you guys, right? And it was always Daryle and Steven and what you guys were doing. And I remember the whole We Buy Houses stuff. Like I remember you guys doing that because I was paying close attention as like who was doing what in real estate here. Yeah. And you guys were just taking off as far as your network and your relationships and reputation and everything like that. And I remember, again, I didn't know him too well, but I knew he was a super nice, or at least was always very nice to me and had a huge smile on his face. And I remember it just made like waves through our community when he passed away. Yeah. Super unexpected, young guy, just full of life. And it was, I think it was hard for a lot of people, even though they didn't really know him that much, not nearly as well as you knew him. How did that impact you personally over the next couple months? I mean, obviously it still impacts you to today.
Oh,
but
100%.
How did it impact you the next couple months after that?
So the first couple months after that, I mean, it was hard. I didn't know what to do, how to act, anything, to where we had just gotten that apartment complex under contract. And I told the owners, I was like, hey, like they knew because they played bridge with his grandma. So they knew that he had passed. And I told him, I was like, look, like I'm not going to be able to close on this. Like, I'm sorry, all of this. Like, I understand if you got to sell it to somebody else, like I'm not in the right headspace. Right. And I actually went back. I took a couple of weeks off and I was like, man, I just need to go sell security systems. Like I'm good. I don't think I can. At that point, I didn't have the confidence to think that I could do real estate by myself.
Interesting.
Because we had done everything together. Yep. The second I knew about real estate, I got him involved. Yep. To where from every phone call to every meetup, we did it together. And I knew nothing else but me and him are going to this meetup, to where it made me feel at ease, even though I knew I could talk to people at meetups and I knew I could meet new people and all of that stuff, but it was easier when you had somebody there and you tag team, like, hey, you work this side of the room, I work this side of the room, we'll get to know the whole room. I wasn't good enough friends with a bunch of people that I could have just been like, all right, well, you're my new partner. At that point, I was like, man, I just got to figure out how to do this solo. There's no other way other than solo. So I went back to selling security systems for a little bit, and I was an authorized dealer, so I got to kind of control my own schedule, and if I wanted to, I could hire a couple people to come sell for me. So I was kind of pursuing that, and I don't know, man, it just wasn't the same.
Of course.
I got back, I sold quite a few of them in the 2-month period, and I was doing okay, but I wasn't happy.
Yeah. I mean, you had a taste of something awesome with your best friend.
Correct.
Right? And I would assume like partnerships look differently to you.
Way
because
different.
The business partnerships that I've had has been with people that I've known for 10 and 15 years.
Yes.
And I have been tempted to get into partnerships with people I just met because they're freaking awesome people, right?
Oh, no doubt.
But it just feels different, right?
It's different, way different.
The people that I partnered with, I've specifically told my wife, like, hey, if anything happens to me, don't listen to anyone with these titles that contact you. Yes. You go to these people and ask what we need to do with our money and what we need to do with our business and all this stuff.
Exactly.
Like, that's how much I trust them, right?
Yeah.
And so you have this level of trust in this partnership. I could imagine that like you with your network and your personality and your friendships and everything you developed in the short time you're in real estate could have grabbed other partners and stayed in the game, but it probably didn't feel right, and it probably didn't feel the same in what you knew as a partnership.
And it didn't. It was one of those to where I just thought, hey, let me put this period behind me, because at that point, everything real estate related reminded me of him. Right. And it was like, dude, we used to do this together. Like, this sucks doing this by myself. Like, riding around and knocking doors by yourself is lonely. It's lonely doing that by yourself. And when you're making phone calls in your garage, I'm like, dude, we were doing this together. Everything we did was together, to where now me doing it by myself just felt weird. Right. And it felt, I don't know, like I was disconnected because I was by myself.
What about operationally?
Man, it was, so luckily we didn't have any rentals.
Yeah.
I would say that was a blessing in disguise, because we didn't have any rentals. We had already sold our last flip, so we weren't working on any projects. The only thing we really had together was a couple of trailers, and that was pretty much it. He had a truck and I had my own truck. They weren't in the business names at that time. We didn't know any difference, but we owned 2 trailers, or a trailer. No, it was 2 trailers, and that was pretty much it, to where So after I went on my little month or two run of security systems, I was like, man, I got to get back in this. Like somehow I got to do this. So I called his mom and I was like, hey, like I don't know how to proceed because technically she got his shares in our company and everything as his not dependent, but his
either next of kin
or survivorship or whatever. Yeah. And I was like how do we proceed and all this? And she was like, Daryle, I want you to keep running this business, and I know you're going to do it for Steven. I don't care what it is, and I will sign everything. And she signed the trailers over to me. She signed the LLC docs, everything that his name was on. She signed the very next day over to me and was like, Daryle, run this thing. Like, I know you can do this.
That's incredible.
And I need you to keep rolling with his name. And that's kind of how it went. I was very lucky. His mom, me and her have a great relationship. We see each other still to this day. Yeah. We don't see each other as often, but we see each other couple times every 6 months or so. Yeah. So that part of it wasn't terrible, only because we didn't own anything yet.
That's incredible. And thankfully you repaired the relationship after you snuck out.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank goodness you don't have that only memory.
and obviously, like, she knows the impact you had on Steven and y'all's relationship. It's good that she could see that clearly after that traumatic event. You know?
And it was one of those things to where what kind of brought me back to real estate is the owners of that apartment complex. They called me when I was already planning on stopping doing security systems. They called me. It was probably July or August. This all happened in May, and come July or August, they called me and they were like, hey, Daryle, I just want to let you know that we saved this apartment complex for you, and we want you to buy this if you're still interested. And I was like, are you kidding me?
That's
like,
incredible.
You saved it for 2 or 3 months just for me? She was like, yeah, like, Steven had a big impact, and we love his grandma, and we want you to own it.
Wow.
And I was like, and technically at that point, I had gotten the SBA loan and everything so we had the money to do it. I just put that aside and just waited because I thought for sure I was going to have to give it back because I wasn't using it for anything.
Right.
And she was like, no, we want you to have this. So then we went straight back into it, and I picked it up for the exact price that we had before and everything, and I closed on it. And to this day, I still own that because that is the last piece of what we were working on.
Yeah,
that was incredible. The very last property we worked on. And I just actually got done renovating it last year, and we renovated all 6 units, and now it is top notch, fully rented, the whole 9, and I probably will never get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because of that. Yeah.
What kind of support did you have? Because again, you were newer to real estate, but you were quickly developing relationships and a reputation, as I'd mentioned before. Did you have good support from the real estate community when Steven passed?
I did, man. Everybody loved Steven, and they all reached out and they wanted to help as much as they could. Granted, was little for people to actually help with because we didn't luckily own any rentals and stuff like that, so we didn't need help there, but they definitely supported and wanted to push me to get back into it because they knew what we were doing and that it could be better than what it was, and it had already been good. And they were like, well, you got to get back in here, you got to keep going. And next thing you know, I ended up jumping back in, and we've never stopped since.
Was your wife pushing you to get back into real estate? I mean, pushing is probably the wrong word.
Yeah, and she was encouraging it, but she also wanted me. She knew that everything we did real estate-wise reminded me of him, so it was hard. And back then, and then I got my first rehab under contract, and it was the weirdest feeling. Like, it was very empty.
Yeah.
Because beforehand, we would do everything. We'd go to Lowe's, pick up all the materials. We'd go ride to job sites. We'd go look at new houses. Now I was doing it all by myself. So it was a very big adjustment for those first, I would say, probably 2 years of really getting adjusted. And I still think about it today, man. Sure. I think I'll go to Lowe's and go have a trailer load full of materials, and I'll be like, daggone, it'd be nice to have a second set of hands. Like, it sucks you're not here right now to help me with this. And I think about it all the time.
Which is natural, normal.
Oh, 100%.
You probably will for years. But, I mean,
and that's what sucks about death is it fades. Like, the memory is still there, but a lot of it fades. Like, now here we are 6 years later, I don't remember us riding around looking at job sites. I remember videos that we made of it and stuff like that, but you don't that stuff fades out, and you don't want it to fade, but it does. And you're like, man, I wish I could hear that one more time, or I wish we could talk about this one more time. When the market was booming in 21 and 22, I was like, dude, you will never believe what we're doing right now. Like, houses are selling with no inspections in 24 to 48 hours. Like, I wish he could have experienced all that, because we were just getting started. It could have been really good. And back then, he was like a YouTube star without YouTube, because back then, YouTube wasn't big. And he recorded everything. I used to call him paparazzi. That was like my go-to. I'd be like, dude, stop being the paparazzi. Like, what are you doing?
Dude, he'd be crushing it today doing that.
Crushing it. He would be crushing it, but he was ahead of his time. Like,
that's awesome.
That was his thing. We would have had a podcast. We'd have had a YouTube channel, and he would have done all of it, because we used to ride around in the car looking at jobs, and he would record the entire car ride.
Really?
He'd be like, dude, just act normal. Like, we'll record this. And he would record the entire car ride, all the houses we looked at, he would record everything. If it was up to him, he'd have a camera in his hand 24 hours a day watching him sleep. Like, it was crazy.
Man, he would definitely love it today with like the meta glasses and everything else.
He would have fit right in.
He'd be crushing it. Have you had partnerships since?
I have, yes and no. I would say majority of everything is just me, except for just recently, me and my buddy Wade, which he owns a property management company. Me and him have actually bought a storage complex together.
Sweet.
And a couple of other rentals together. So I would say no, other than that one exception. Me and him, and same. I've known him for probably 25 years. Like, we knew each other before Steven I even knew Steven. So
well, that's par for the course then. Getting back into that partnership, that's a good
exactly.
Good
And it's good. I would say it's very different though, because he owns the property management company, so he's not all in on real estate investing. He likes real estate investing and he dabbles in it, but he's not. He has his own company to where he focuses on 24 hours a day, and that's his baby. To where on my side, investing is my baby, to where that's what I do 24/7.
It's a great overlap.
So, it is. It's a very great overlap.
Awesome. And so when you're building, like when we talk about your strategy to build your rental portfolio, because you eventually got into rentals and started buying and holding, to include that apartment building and things like that, you mentioned that you like slow and steady wins the race. And when I say slow and steady, that's not like one a year. That's like 5 to 7 a year rentals plus like maybe 5 to 7 flips a year to capitalize, I assume.
Yes.
Why have you decided to go that route, which I agree with, but just want to hear your perspective on why are you going that route versus how do you get to 100 a month or, like 10 a month or something like that? What is your goals with that?
So for me, it's more of a monthly cash flow goal and not necessarily a number goal, because I kind of learned early on that it doesn't matter how many you have. It's how much maintenance and how much stress are, because 100 properties, that sounds so stressful. Now, I'm not saying that I wouldn't get to that point, because it could, but I wouldn't say that that's really a goal. I would say a monthly cash flow amount, because I'm at the point where I have 2 kids now, and as they get older, I want to retire. I don't want to do this forever. Like I see myself more and more enjoying every morning. I get to take them to school. I get to pick them up from school a lot of days. I get to take them to soccer practice, baseball practice, gymnastics. Like these are things that I would have never gotten to do if I worked at Vulcan or any of these other jobs. So I look at that and I value that more now. And I don't necessarily care. Now, if you would have asked me when I was 25, 27 years old when I got started, I wanted 200 houses. Like that was the goal. Now, I don't think that that's necessarily my goal.
It's unbelievable how kids change your perspective.
They really do.
I never thought, I would have swore to anyone that will never happen to me.
Yes.
And I was like, I'll work 100-hour weeks till I die. I'm going to have a massive empire. I'm going to do all these things. And I had kids and I was like, what's enough? Figure out what enough is. And I'm good. Like
exactly.
There's so many different business opportunities. There's so many different investment options. There's so many different things that I could have participated in the last few years where I'm like, man,
then I'm not at home.
I get to tuck my kid in every single night. I get to see them every single morning for breakfast. I get, to go to their games on weekends and practices at night. And I get to, if my wife needs to do something, and I can go home and spend time with the kids and make sure she has her time off.
Yep.
And like, to me, that is what I want to build.
Oh yes. And I didn't realize that was what I was here to do until it happened, because beforehand I was like you, I'll work 60, 80 hours a week. That doesn't matter. I don't have to be home. I'll go to every networking event, everything. Like, I don't need to put them to bed.
Yeah.
And it was like a switch. It just changed. And especially now, like, my kids are getting a little older. One of them's almost 4 and 7, or she's almost 7. I can't wait. I love coming home, and I love getting to do things, and I love that they're getting to experience things. And like, my son is big into golf now, because I love to play golf. And now he's starting to, every day I get home, he's like, "We go to golf course?" I was like, "Heck yes." That's like, awesome. Let's go. Like, and it's just the excitement that he loves being out there only because I like doing it.
Right.
He knows nothing about golf other than he wants to hit the ball as hard as he can hit it. Other than that, he could care less. And that the golf course we go to, luckily, is very low key and there's not many people, so he gets to run wild out there. He goes and plays in the sand bunker. He runs down the fairway. They bring their scooters and they ride down the cart path every afternoon. Every night we go out there and they'll ride 6 or 7 holes on their scooter down the cart path and then hit a ball and then keep riding. And like, it's a blast to them. Awesome. And it's stuff like that I would have never got to experience if I was working 60, 80 hours a week.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I know our kids are almost the same age.
They are.
Like,
yes.
I mean, every time either one of us had a kid, both of us are having kids. But so we're both in that same stage. For me personally, just as a father, it took about 6 months for me to feel the difference. Like, and I think it's the only reason I'm calling this out. I don't think I've ever really said this publicly, but everyone always told me having a kid will change your life. You'll be looking at the kid, feeding them at, 2 a.m. and just think how lucky you are. And I was like, I didn't feel that the first 6 months. And I felt like something was wrong with me. And felt like the kid was just in my way of accomplishing all of my goals that I had, and this massive work ethic and need to accomplish, and all the chips on my shoulder and stuff like that. And about 6 months in, when your kid can smile and look at you and they realize you're there.
Yes.
And so like that first few months, if you're an early parent and you're an entrepreneur and you have these massive goals of building empires, and it's the first few months, you may not feel that connection. And I think that's okay to some extent. Get help if you need help, but like to some extent, I think that's fine. But for me, it was about 6 months when I started connecting with my firstborn. And then after that, holy cow, it's just game over. I'm like, my entire life, I need to be as successful as I need to be to make sure that they have an awesome life. And that's my goal now.
I couldn't agree more. And I would say that I was the exact same way. I probably wasn't very connected that first 6 or 8 months. And a lot of it had to do with a lot of stuff going on. I mean, we had the kid, then COVID hit. Then Steven passed, and then now I'm finally dabbling back into real estate, to where I really do think that I missed those first 8 to 10 months and wasn't present. Yeah. I wasn't as present as I could be, because I was so distracted with everything else going on. And I wouldn't say I regret it, but the second child, I was way more locked in, 100%. Way more locked in.
It was the same with me. I didn't have to overcome. For me, it was not the loss of my best friend and all this. It was, both of us gave birth around like COVID to our firstborns. And then for me, again, it was just that business driving factor where I could not break the focus of like growing a company and all that I wanted to accomplish until about 6 months in, until I connected with the kid. But the second born, holy cow. It's like just 0 waiting period. Day 1, I can't wait.
Oh, same. Yeah. And that second kid was just, they got all of your attention at that point. Like, it was like, hey, we can't pass this moment, because they're only young for one period of time. Like a mentor once told me, he was like, they will depend on you for the first like 8 to 10 years, and that's it.
Right.
After that, now it's friends come into the play, then it's sports come into play, then it's girls or boys come into play, and next thing you know, they're off in college.
Yeah.
You get 18 summers, and that is it.
I was going to say, when you start counting like the summers,
Yes.
or start counting like certain years where they actually care about you and want to be with you, it's terrifying.
Yes, and Christmases and all of that. Like they literally believe in
Yeah.
Santa for the first 7 years, and that's it.
Yeah.
8 years.
Yeah.
So you need to take full advantage of that, and I'm glad that I learned that, and I appreciate that a lot more now.
Yeah. And it's good. I remember, I think early on, like me and you had some of these conversations earlier because we were both building, right? And we both had kids of the same age. And I remember sharing some stuff with you where we'd have these conversations about kids and kind of like how I'm doing and how you're doing and stuff, and kind of relating to some extent with like trying to build and have kids at the same time. But good to have people in your network that are going through similar things. But back to real estate, what is your favorite strategy to buy a house, like purchasing strategy? Because you like creative financing.
I love
what is
financing.
like your favorite way to buy a house?
So I love subject to, where you're assuming someone else's mortgages, and I love creative finance, owner finances. I love owner financing because actually that first deal I got, that's apartment complex, that owner financed that property to me. She is still my lien holder today. Like she has the lien, and I pay her every single month for her loan today.
How do these seller, because I love seller finance.
Yes.
How do you approach those conversations when you see that opportunity?
So a lot of people don't ask. Yeah. And I think that's the mistake with a lot of real estate investors, is they think everyone just needs cash, and they never ask the question and listen. A lot of times these older investors, they don't need cash, but they have lived, especially when they've lived their entire life off of cash flow, and now you're just going to pay them a one lump sum, and now they get no more cash flow, to where a lot of them love keeping that cash flow, but now relinquishing the responsibilities of the property, to where now I'll take over the problems, the responsibility, everything. You just collect a check every month because you earned it.
Right.
And people don't ever ask that. To where when I go in, I give you a cash offer and a terms offer. I never usually say seller financing or owner financing, because in people's heads, for some reason, that just clicks a switch and it turns them off when you say seller or owner financing.
Like they have to do something.
To where I tell them, hey, I will do a terms offer and a cash offer. And they're like, oh, what is a terms offer? And now I automatically have them questioning what it is. To where it allows me to go into a more elaborate state and explain to them how we can break it down. And the best part about a terms offer, it can be adjusted to your lifestyle or your life in general. It can be cashed out in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Like it's one of those to where you can make it really whatever you want to make it.
A lot of people are like, well, it has to be 30 or it has to be 1 year.
Correct.
It has to be, it could be whatever within the bounds of legalities. It could be whatever you and that other person come up with.
Like if I have a seller that's 90 years old, we're not going to do a 30-year loan.
Correct.
He's going to be gone 20, 30 years before that. Right. To where if I have a seller that's 90, we're either one talking about who is inheriting those payments, because I actually have done it before with 30-year loans. Just the difference was he wanted to leave his kids payments.
Yep.
Like my personal house. We bought my personal house probably 2 or 3 years ago, and we got it on terms. We did seller financing, and the biggest thing for her was to what she was going to leave her kids, because she never had a 401k.
Right.
When her husband passed away, they didn't have any of those retirement buckets in place, to where I was able to give her a nice down payment. So she got her lump sum to go pay off her car, her credit cards, all of that stuff. But then that cash flow is what allowed her to now live. Because now she was getting a monthly cash flow to pay her rent or her mortgage or whatever she wanted to do with it. And then when she passes, her kids will now inherit those payments, which will pay their mortgages or their car payments or theirs, to where now she's benefiting her kids in a way she would have never been able to benefit them.
Absolutely. And you can only do this if you ask the right questions and understand their situation, right?
Exactly.
Because if you understand that all the indicators show that this may be a good situation for them, then you offer that in terms that's most favorable to them, right?
Oh,
and
100%.
you still get to set the rules on the terms, but it's what's most favorable.
And I would
them.
even say that they're making more than if they took my cash offer, because of the tax incentives for one, and if you break the payments plus the interest. I mean, a lot of people don't think about the interest side, but a 30-year amortization schedule, you're getting 90% of that in interest the first 10 years, to where you're making way more than if you just gave me cash cash $200,000 for that house.
Right. And it works for that investor. The investor loves it.
That's exactly right.
But when you like, hey, look, you're selling the house for X amount, but you're making $100,000 in interest more than you would if you just sold it cash.
Yes.
And helps with taxes and stuff like that too. So we own a vacation property at the beach, and we had a long conversation with the seller, and it turned out that his kids' name were the same names as me and my wife.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just so, they were hesitating on selling it because they grew up there with their kids and brought them there every summer and everything. And we were like, hey, it's going to be essentially the same names are going to come in there. But so there was some level of emotional connection, but we also understood their finances and kind of what their needs were and exactly what they wanted to get out of this sale and what meant the most to them. And then we offered essentially what it ended up being, after some negotiation and back and forth based on what they needed most and what really fulfilled them, was $0 down, seller finance, 0% interest.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, because it's seasonal, we'll pay 2 times a year.
Oh my
So we
goodness.
make 2 payments a year instead of monthly payments.
That's
and
awesome.
So and we dictated the payments do not correlate to the value of the purchase price or anything. It's just a flat, and then there's a balloon at 10 years on whatever's left, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
And so 0% interest, 0 down payment, 2 payments a year at a rate that we decided was appropriate, again, not correlated to anything else.
Yep.
I take on the interest, we're at 0%, but then we talked to a CPA that told us about imputed interest. And so I think we actually we adjusted the purchase price and then tacked on a 2% to satisfy the IRS.
Oh,
so it's something like that. But so anyway, that ended up being a 10-year loan, and then with the balloon. And I think the house is more than doubled in value from
amazing?
what we bought it from. And the seller, I had lunch with him a month ago. Still, we have a great relationship. He's happy with the deal, and we still stay in touch. I write him a handwritten letter every time I make a payment of that, and then we'll send pictures of our kids playing at the beach and stuff like that. And those things is that was an awesome deal for both of us.
Oh, yes. And he is probably ecstatic that he made that deal, because he now gets to still enjoy it because he sees your family growing just like his family grew for so many years.
Yeah. And I thank him endlessly.
Yes.
And fortunately, he was in a good capital position. He didn't need all the capital and stuff like that. They spent their time at another vacation home that they owned, but it's still money to them, and it's still a family investment to them and an asset that they were able to capitalize on, but allow another family to grow up and kind of have the same memories and experiences.
And you would have never gotten to that point if you didn't ask.
For sure.
Because I'm sure seller finance wasn't the first thought going across your mind. You were like, hey, how can we get this? How much money do we need to save? How much down payment do we need? And then as you started to talk and negotiate and really understand their need, that's how you came to that option.
Yeah. It's good, again, like you said, to ask good questions and listen.
Yes.
You've done wholesaling, your share of wholesaling, you've done flips, you're building an awesome rental portfolio. What's next for you over the next, let's call it 3 years?
So I would say over the next 3 years, I really want to get to where I'm just build to rent rentals.
Interesting.
Is kind of where I've transitioned to. I wouldn't say I'm there yet. I'm not building anything right now, but that's kind of the goal for me, is either build to rent rentals and or a couple of build to rent sales to kind of get a little bit of cash coming in, stuff like that throughout the year. But really, I just want build to rent rentals.
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people going in that direction now, and I think it's more strategic. It's less surprises, and as long as you can find the land, and you kind of control your destiny from there.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm not going to buy rentals, because I'm absolutely. I'm right now. I'm buying a rental actually today. So
Sweet.
And it's sub 2 of all things.
Awesome.
I'm taking over a 3.99% Rocket mortgage loan.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yes, and everything worked out great, because the seller, I was able to pay his difference in cash to where he took his cash, and he had already moved and lives 4 hours away. So everything kind of worked.
Awesome.
Yeah, to where that stuff exists. So don't be scared to ask.
Are you finding most of your deals through just your network at this point, or are you marketing?
So I'm not doing a whole lot of marketing. I would say a lot of referrals. That's kind of, when I was in security access control sales, it was all referral based and door knocking, to where I learned to ask for referrals. People don't do that. Like, hey, every time I go and get a house, I want to know 5 of your friends' names and numbers, so that way in case they ever want to sell, I now have that access to that, to where I just ask for referrals. If I've done a good service to you, please refer me to your friends, family, whoever else.
That's awesome. That's a great tip.
Yeah.
For someone who wants to get started in real estate investing but hasn't made any moves yet, how should they get started?
Go out and find a house. I mean, it is so much.
A
lot of people worry about the money or the construction side of it. Now, I'm not saying the construction side is easy, because it's not. You have contractors that show up and some that don't. Even I've been almost doing it for 10 years, and it's still like that. Some of them are great. Some of them show up when they want to show up, and the others don't show up at all. So don't worry about that part. Just think about find a house. The second you find a house, that money will come. It will come. And today there's a lot of opportunities that I didn't have back in the day. Like, I went with bandit signs as my first, to where today I probably wouldn't do that. Today I would be on Facebook or Craigslist, and I would go to every meetup and talk to every wholesaler, because there's 50 wholesalers at every meetup that are going to, and say half of them get a deal. That's 25 deals.
Yeah.
To where you just have to be on their buyers list, and when they come in, be ready to make an offer.
Yeah.
And make as many offers as you can. Because being told no, back when I was doing sales, my manager used to always tell me every no gets you that much closer to your next yes. And today I still use that model, because if you tell me no, perfect. I'll walk to the next one and they might tell me yes.
Right.
Because every no just gets you that much closer to that next yes.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. How can people find you?
So I would say they can either call me, text me, 804-921-3656, or you can find me on Facebook. I wouldn't say that I'm very active on Facebook and Instagram. It's more family stuff now. It's not a whole lot of real estate stuff, but that's usually the 2 ways. Just call or text me. I'm old school. I want a phone call.
Awesome.
I'm always driving and checking on job sites. I can always talk.
That's awesome, man.
So,
any final thoughts before we wrap up?
So I would say a quote that an older seller gave me one time, and we got to talking really deep in opportunities and things like that. And he asked me a question, and he was like, how many white F-150s did you see on the way to my house? And I said, I have no idea. Like, I have no idea. And he was like, that is exactly how opportunity is. Now, when you're on your way home, I want you to pay attention. And when I went home that day, I saw 14 white F-150s on a 20-minute drive. And he was like, that is how opportunity is. Opportunity is only there for the ones that are looking for it. If you're not looking, you would have never seen those white F-150s, a.k.a. opportunities, to where now that you're paying attention, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And I would say that was a big lesson when I started, and he told me that. And ever since then, I tell all the younger people, like, opportunities are everywhere. You just have to be on the lookout.
Yeah.
And if you're not looking, you'll never see them. They passed right by you. They drove physically 2 foot past your mirrors, right past you, and you didn't even see that white F-150, which that opportunity just walked right past you.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible. And that's like a kind of the highlight of your story, is just opportunity after opportunity, but you had to go, to them. Like, opportunity can knock at your door. You had to open the door and then make the best of it.
Yep.
It's been so awesome learning more of your journey and more of your story. And I really appreciate you coming to share and helping us learn from some of what you experienced. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and I look forward to tracking your success over the next few years.
I really appreciate it, man. And for everybody out there, I'm nothing special. Anyone can seriously do this. Like, it doesn't take a special person to be able to do what I'm doing. It's just a matter of doing it. That is all it is. Just go out and do it. Take that chance, take that risk. And sometimes you don't always succeed, but that doesn't mean to not take the next risk.
Right.
Just keep going.
Right on, man.
So
I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Steve.